Tomb is a place where dead people are buried, but this man was a living dead. He was living. He was living dead. He alive but dead, and his spirit. He was living 6 feet on the edges. He was bounded by Satan. He was a prisoner of sin. And the sad thing was there was no one strong enough to bind him, strong or powerful enough to bind him. For he was out of control. Definitely was a very a lonely person. Fell in love, rejected by society. He was living in the tombs. He was possessed with so many evil spirits. In fact, those demons that possessed him were not. Some people think that was the spirit of the dead people, but it was we call it. But it's not the spirit of the dead people. He was possessed by so many evil spirits or fallen angels, probably. And when Jesus confronted, he was possessed with the spirit of death, spirit of death. And when Jesus confronted them, they admitted they were fallen angels waiting for a time of judgment. In fact, some people believe that demons are the souls of those people who were intermarried with women during the time of Noah. And since they died, their spirit returned. Those giants, those hybrid, become, because they did not have a place of return, they tend to spirit. But over here we can see that the spirit were tormented when they saw Jesus. They were tormented because they thought it was time of judgment. So the only thing that we can see from that is those were fallen angels. They fallen angels and they were waiting for a time of judgment. In fact, the normal. Okay, and when Jesus asked, "What's your name?" the demon says, "Our name is Legion." Legion is Roman. Legion is equivalent to 6,000 soldiers. Besides that, they have extra groups that are all added onto those 6,000 to go along with that 6,000. But those are 6,000 soldiers in the Roman army. So when this person said we are Legion, he was speaking in behalf of all the demons. And this man was possessed with 6,000 demons. We do not know, the Bible does not tell us how this man got possessed. Oh, dear Lord. The Bible doesn't give us detail about how this man got possessed. Some people started innocently by looking for haunted house. Others like chess board or couch board, or they get involved with your couch group, yoga. Somehow Probably he took drugs or involved in occults. Demons always look for entry points to possess people's life. And when we open any doors in our lives, they start off with controlling, and eventually they can end up controlling and possessing your life. Friends, when a child goes wrong, society lost a good man. When a child starts involved in crime and stealing any young age, society lost a good citizen. Okay? I mean, he or she start taking drugs and alcohol at a very early age and start getting involved in bad companies, wrong friends, start pickpocketing or picking up weapons uh, and start calling up people, so that society lose the good citizen. When they lost interest in school, when young people start losing interest in schools and in education, society definitely lose a good citizen. When you pick up bad language, we think he or she is good. Society. So, all right. When kids starts to pick up and use profound languages, when we start to follow criminal friends, and something starts to die inside of this child. You lose interest in his educations. And when you lose inside something, a good man dies inside and a monster takes his place. To live in a tomb to this man, legend, was like living in a five-star hotel. Remember, the Bible says that this man was living in tombs. It was plural. Plural is many tombs. Probably we too are living our lives. We have our own tombs. Tomb can, represent the lust of the flesh. Tombs of witchcraft, tombs of criminal activities, tombs of alcohol, tombs of lying and conning people, becoming a con artist, tombs of gambling, tombs of the love of money, greed, tombs of pride. Each one of us know what type of tombs we have. Only you know what tombs that we accommodate in our lives, and the sad thing is that this man thought he was living in a five-star hotel. We boast about the alcohol. Young people boast about the criminal activities. We boast about how many women and children we make, sleep with, and so those are tombs. Okay, and it appears that within every man, every human being, every person on earth, there is a protective barrier that shelters or shields that person to a certain extent from demons, any fall of demons. Once the person begins dabbling or involving in our cult, let me repeat again, when every child is born, there is a protective barrier. And we all know that every person is born with an angel, a protective, a warrant angel. And but once but once this protective barrier fence is broken down, not by outside influence, but by yourself willingly participating or involved in occult, um, people involved and subjected to occultism, um, people often confessed that it was not difficult to make contact with spirits. But once they become aware of the diabolical nature of their spirit, they intercourse with, and sought to renounce this evil, they found that no power on earth could free them, just like Legion. There was no one strong enough to bind him. Though they chain him, he always breaks the chain. You know, the Bible says that he broke all the chains and fetches. And the chains were there for his own good. And not only that, but for the good of the society, for the safety of the society. But he was so strong. He had this supernatural strength, diabolical, not natural. Um, he was able to break those chains and fetches that was put around his hands and legs like they were nothing. And he will always escape back up to the hills and back to the tomb lifestyle. Sometimes we think prison is bad, but prison is a good place for lawbreakers. Recently, 19 escaped from prison. Prisoners escaped from prison, and 19 of them were shot. Last time there was 20 something in Medin. So, prison is not a bad place. It's a good place. It's a place for lawbreakers, and also it keeps you away from society and from harming society, and you're there to pay. So, chain was good for him. It's a place for rehabilitating lawbreakers and criminals. You're a danger to yourself and to society. At least at prison, you have 3 meals a day. 3 meals, you know, taxpayers pay we have meals. You may problem is with your family and friends, but at least you spend time until you finish your sentence for the crime you committed. Chains are for good for you, for your own good, and at least you're still alive and eating 3 meals a day. But this man was like Mad Max. You know, we break out of prison and run for freedom. It's not freedom. You're an escapist. You're a fugitive. You're wanted. You know, dead or alive. Mad Max will look for. I mean, this guy will look for ways and means to break out of prison. Bribery, deception, lying. I even try to bribe the magistrate and police and prison officials to get rid of his evidence. Prison was a place where for rehabilitating such people like him. But this man would love to escape and run back to his old way of life, living on the hills, far from society. living in the tombs. He loved to go back to his life of nakedness. The Bible tells us that he was naked, but he couldn't see that because he was possessed with demon. Criminals, people involved in criminal activities and tribal warfare, and uh, they can't see the seriousness of their nakedness. When naked, the things that they do is not right before society, before the nation, before God, before the people. Living in tomb was like living in a luxury five-star hotel. It was like it's Abu Dhabi, what's this new city called? Yeah, and someone said about the first day about drugs. The first day you feel at home. When you take drugs, you feel at home. You learn the art to go high. And the idea of the idea of thoughts of drug expanding your senses, your mind, it feels romantic. It's like a romantic relationship with drugs. And once you get like it's living in a hotel, but once you get so involved, you become hooked, bound, and the misery causes you, your family, your health, your welfare, your jobs, you go on spiraling downwards. It's like on a slippery edge of a cliff.